What if I told you that even in 2025, even starting from scratch, with no money, no connections, and no confidence, I could still become successful again? In this video, I'll give you a step-by-step plan on exactly how. Stay until the end to learn the practical part that could change your future. And now, imagine yourself at the beginning. What if all you have right now is zero? No money, no support, no idea where to begin. Your pockets empty, your mind full of doubts, and the world around you fast, digital, loud. People are running, filming videos, trading crypto, launching startups from their basements, and it looks like everyone knows where they're going. And you're standing there thinking, what about me? This isn't a made-up story. This was me. I was 25. I worked on a farm, no college degree. And the worst part, I thought that was normal, that others were somehow better off, bigger, smarter, more successful. Then I heard the words that changed my direction forever. If you want everything to change, change yourself. And that's exactly where I'd start again. You see, no matter what year is on the calendar, 1972 or 2025, principles don't get old. Technology changes, opportunities come and go, but the laws of prosperity, like gravity, always work. They worked for me. They worked for millions, and they'll work for you if you apply them. So in this video, I'm going to share with you a plan, what I would do if I lost everything. 10 years of business experience, 40 years in personal growth, all condensed into a roadmap for those starting from zero. And at the end, a practical exercise to show you that you already have more than you think. But first, here's where I'd place the very first step. If I were starting from scratch today in 2025, I wouldn't begin by looking for a job, launching a business, or scrolling through courses on TikTok. I'd start with the scariest thing. I'd look myself in the eye. Because the first enemy a person faces isn't the market, competition, or the economy. The first enemy is the old version of yourself. When I was completely broke at 25, I thought the problem was the company, that they didn't pay enough, that they didn't see my potential, that the world was unfair. And you know what my mentor, Mr. Schoaf, told me then? He looked me straight in the eye and said, "Jim, the problem isn't the company. It's not all they pay. It's all they pay you, because you haven't yet become someone who can be paid more." Oh, that hurt. But that's when I stopped blaming the outside and started changing the inside. Now in 2025, nothing's changed. The world has only gotten louder. People are escaping into tech, illusions, complaints. But the reality remains unchanged. Success doesn't just come, it's attracted. And you attract it by who you become. Not who you want to be, but who you shape yourself into every day. I know today it's trendy to believe in energies, visualization, a universe that provides everything. But I'll tell you straight, the universe doesn't give unless you take responsibility. And that's where I would begin my new journey, with full responsibility for every little thing in my life. Don't like your job? Fine. What are you doing to find a new one? No money? Got it. But have you saved even $10 this week? Health problems? That's tough, I know, but how many steps have you taken today? Everything begins with micro actions. But here's what matters. Action alone isn't a breakthrough. The real shift happens when you change your identity. Because as long as you're still the old version of yourself inside, new actions won't stick. They'll fade away. Deflate like a balloon in a room where there was once a celebration, but now only memories. I'd start with myself. Who am I? Not what others call me, not how I flatter myself in my thoughts, but who I am when the phone is off, what I think about as I fall asleep, and what I'm willing to do when no one is watching. If you're chasing wealth without a wealthy mindset, money will break you. If you want influence but think like a victim, fame will poison you. That's why the first step is to work on yourself more than on anything else. When I began changing, I wrote a simple formula: learning plus action. X repetition equals change. I didn't wait for motivation. I acted before the desire came. And surprisingly, motivation followed action. Not before, after. Think of it like this. You can't get warm by the fireplace until you put in the wood and light it. Yet so many people sit in front of the cold fireplace of life saying, "Give me heat and I'll bring the wood." That's not how it works. You give and then you receive. Next, a reachable goal. In 2025, I wouldn't set a goal like become a millionaire. No, that's too far off. I'd say I need to make $500 on the side in 30 days. Because the first win gives you the strength to believe in the next one. Don't wait for a breakthrough. Create it with small shifts. At 25, I started with books, simple, practical ones. I'd take one and read 10 pages a day, no more. But in a month, that's 300 pages. In a year, 3,000. In 5 years, a library. Knowledge that accumulates creates strength that never fades. I also created a rule. Not a single day without a win. Every day had to include one victory, even a microscopic one. A walk instead of a TV show, a phone call I was afraid of, skipping a purchase to save money, because when you win, you grow. And when you grow, you change. And when you change, you attract. Now, attention. In 2025, I'd avoid one disease that has become a pandemic for this generation. It's analysis without action. People today know everything, but they do nothing. They watch 100 videos a week. They know about dopamine effects, productivity systems, hormones, and neurons, but they don't wake up on time, don't eat right, and don't make decisions. Success isn't information, it's transformation. And transformation begins with self-discipline. That's why I'd start with a routine. Wake up earlier, plan my day, monitor my environment. If you want a different life, create a different day. And one more thing, I definitely wouldn't chase trends in 2025 because trends are waves, they rise and vanish. But principles, they're like rocks. They hold you up when the storm comes. That's why I'd invest in myself, not through Instagram courses, but in skills, communication, time management, financial literacy, empathy, sales. And you know what's most surprising? When you become better, the world sees it. Not instantly, but gradually. I didn't have LinkedIn, but I had a reputation. I didn't have a marketer, but I had my word, and that worked. All right, you've taken responsibility. You've started waking up earlier. You've asked yourself, who am I, and who do I want to become? And now, in front of you, the world. Noisy, crowded, competitive. And maybe you're thinking, Jim, that's great, but I have nothing. No money, no team, no influence. How can I even start building something? Let me tell you, let's begin with the core truth. In 2025, value is not about what you have, it's about what you can give. It doesn't matter how many followers you have. What matters is, are you solving someone's problems? Because money isn't paper, it's energy exchanged for solutions. And as long as you can solve even simple problems, you're already in the game. When I started, I had nothing, no money, just debt. I had no connections, but I had something even more valuable, a willingness to learn. I listened to tapes, I took notes, I learned how to sell, how to speak, how to listen. I learned the power of simple questions, one of which changed my life. How can I add more value? Picture this. If you can do something, even something simple, and turn it into a service, you can already start earning without a business, just by being helpful. Even if, say, you're good at organizing, start helping others declutter their lives and homes. If you can edit text, offer your help. If you're good at drawing, create something unique and show it to the world. Don't know where to start? If I were in 2025, I'd send a simple message to everyone I know. Hey, I'm learning to build my own income. If I could help you with insert skill, let me know. I want to practice. And guess what? People respond. Because the world is full of problems, and you are a potential solution. Don't believe me? Remember the story of Edward Barnes. He dreamed of working with Thomas Edison. He had no money, no education, just faith. One day he jumped on a freight train, couldn't afford a ticket, and showed up at Edison's office. He said, I came to be your partner. Not a worker, not a helper, a partner. And what did Edison do? Gave him the smallest job, but Barnes worked like it was already a partnership. And one day, when others said no, he sold a dictation machine and became a partner. The dream came true through action. So, the second step after responsibility is to choose one direction and commit. Don't scroll, don't quit. Don't doubt every week. One direction. Small, simple, but consistent. Remember, it doesn't matter where you start. What matters is that you don't stop. Now let's talk discipline. That word sounds heavy today, unpopular. But here's the truth. Discipline is the muscle that makes everything possible. I've seen people with less education, from poor families, with no privileges, succeed because they had something greater, internal structure. I was that person. I wasn't lucky. I wasn't the smartest. But I showed up and acted, even when I didn't feel like it. Because motivation isn't the cause of action. Motivation is the result of action. You might ask, how do I deal with fear, with doubt? And I say, move, even if you're afraid. Movement dissolves fear. Action cures doubt. Don't wait for fear to go away. It only disappears when you walk through it. I remember my first public speech, my hands were shaking, my voice cracked, but I did it. And you know what? No one died, not even me. In fact, I came out stronger. So if you're scared to start something new, record a video, call a client, launch a course, change jobs, do it scared, but do it. Next, you must track your wins. Yes, a journal, good old paper and pen. Write what you did, which habits you followed, what decisions you made, because memory is weak, but writing is power. And each entry is proof to your brain. I can, I act, I move forward. Another thing, I won't lie to you. There will be days when it all feels pointless. You'll say, I'm trying, but nothing's changing. And in those moments, I want you to remember, success is invisible at first. It grows underground like bamboo. You water it and nothing. Water it and still nothing. And then, boom, it shoots up a meter overnight, but only because you didn't stop. Let's take another example, Henry Ford. Before he founded Ford Motor Company, he failed twice. People laughed, but he believed that a car for the masses wasn't a dream. It was reality. And he didn't give up, and he built an empire. Same goes for you. If in 2025 you don't yet have stability and the future looks uncertain, this isn't the end. It's the beginning. You don't need a perfect strategy. You need a first step, and then another, and another. Because consistency beats chaos. Always. You know what surprised me most about my own growth? Not that I started earning more, not that people began recognizing me, but that I started thinking differently. True change isn't when you move into a better home. It's when you walk into your old home and see it with new eyes. When the things that used to scare you no longer hold power. When you no longer ask the world for permission, may I become better? You just become. Because the whole journey isn't about money, it's about personal power. And that power, you either build it or betray it every single day. If I were starting from zero in 2025, I would walk the same path of internal growth all over again. Because without it, nothing else matters. Wealth built without character is fragile. Influence created without ethical grounding is dangerous. And only the person who has grown deep, not just achieved outward success, truly stands firm. Let's remember a simple truth. You don't attract what you want. You attract who you are. And that's why before setting goals, you must ask, what kind of person has these goals? And then start not by mimicking, but by becoming. And that's where transformation begins. It seems like you're just reading, journaling, meditating, starting a new habit. But what you're really doing is letting go of the old version of yourself, the one who was afraid, the one who doubted, the one who made excuses. You're letting go of the personality that chose comfort over growth. I remember the moment it happened to me. It wasn't on a stage, not in a business class seat, not at some big meeting. It happened when I was alone, in silence, and realized I'm no longer the Jim who lived by other people's expectations. I stopped waiting for approval. I stopped explaining my choices. I stopped fearing failure. That's when it happened. When fear of self faded, said true power arrived. Not loud, not aggressive, quiet, deep, unshakable. The strength of someone who knows, I will create myself. I am my own standard. I'm no longer a copy. I used to say, learn to work harder on yourself than on your job. And I want to say it again now, because in 2025, the world is oversaturated with people who want success. But it's starving for people who are willing to become success. So what does a successful person look like? It's someone who keeps their word, even when no one's watching. Someone who listens to themselves instead of scrolling. Someone who wakes up earlier, not for likes, but for silence. Someone who doesn't let a random bad day ruin a strategic life. It doesn't mean you're perfect, it means you're intentional in every action, every decision, even the ones that seem small. Right now, some of you might be thinking, this all sounds good, but life is more complicated. I have kids, I have loans, I have reality, and I hear you. But let me say one thing. Your reality is simply a reflection of your decisions. And here's the good news. It can be rewritten. Not in a day, but in 6 months, a year, absolutely, if you're willing. Remember bamboo. Remember how water carves stone, not through force, but consistency. Remember yourself as a child who didn't know how to walk. How many times did you fall, but you didn't stop, because your mind was still clear. It didn't know that quitting was an option. You just kept going. So give yourself permission to be a beginner again. Don't be ashamed of starting slow. The shame is in staying stuck, knowing you could do more. And now the last thing before the practice. There is one quality without which nothing works. It's not trendy, it doesn't sell, but without it, everything crumbles. It's patience. Patience isn't waiting without acting. It's acting without expecting immediate reward. It's knowing that seeds grow in silence. It's continuing even when no one is clapping. I once said, don't ask for fewer problems, I'd ask for more skills. And I still believe it. Don't ask for an easier life. Ask yourself to become stronger. Because in the end, it's not about what you have, it's about who you became along the way. And it's from that place of strength, clarity, and a new identity that we now move into practice. Because I don't want you to just listen to me. I want you to test yourself. In the next section, I'll give you 5 simple questions, but each one, if answered honestly, will show you your entry point into a new life. Keep your pen ready, and most of all, don't stop. You're already on your way. So we've reached the moment where it's no longer about just listening. It's time to look in the mirror, because real transformation doesn't happen on stage, in a book, or during a 4-hour podcast. It happens in a moment of silence, when you suddenly ask, who have I become? And right now, I want you to ask yourself 5 questions. Simple, but deep. Answer quickly. Don't pause the video. Just let your intuition tell the truth, and write down a number, from 1 to 10, where 1 means not at all, and 10 means completely true. Question 1. To what extent out of 10 do I take full responsibility for my life, without making excuses, blaming others, or shifting guilt onto circumstances? Imagine your life is a ship. Are you holding the wheel, or just drifting with the current? Question 2. How aligned are my actions today with the version of myself I want to become? Because every action is a brick. Are you building a castle or digging a hole? Question 3. Do I have a specific goal for the next 90 days? A goal I can clearly describe in numbers and dates? Because a vague goal is like a map with no destination. Neither GPS nor your mind can read it. Question 4. How consistent am I? How well do I stick to my habits for at least a week without dropping everything after the first wave of lost motivation? Success is a marathon, not a sprint. It's not a one-time move. It's a dance you repeat every day, even when the music stops. And question 5. How supportive is my inner voice? Does it uplift me or tear me down? Because your thoughts are seeds. If you spend all day criticizing yourself, don't be surprised when nothing grows. So what numbers did you come up with? Don't rush, just look. And tell yourself honestly, what does this scale reveal about my actual state? If you felt like this matters, write in the comments, I'm in the game. Not for me, for you. It's a way to mark your starting point. To say, this is the moment I stop just listening and start acting. And you know what else I'll ask you to do? Subscribe to the channel. Not for the algorithm, but so that every time you see a new video, you're reminded, I'm in the process of becoming. I'm not just a viewer, I'm a participant. And one more thing, if even one of these questions hit you deep today, share it with a friend, send them this video. Maybe right now, someone close to you isn't waiting for motivation, but simply for a reminder, you can start, even today, even from zero. Because the journey isn't about what you start with, it's about how deeply you've decided to go. And after the video ends, don't forget to return to your answers. But not just to reread them, turn at least one of them into action. A small one, but today. Because while others are still waiting for the perfect moment, you're already on your way. And here you are, not by accident, not just to hear a soothing voice or catch another burst of motivation. You're here because something in you, deep, almost instinctive, that said, this is for me. I've always said, success is not a place you arrive at, it's the person you become along the way. And maybe, right now, in this quiet moment after the words, a new version of you is being born. Not loudly, not dramatically, but truly. Because life doesn't change with the press of a button. It changes through a choice, and another, and another. When you get up early, even though you could sleep in. When you read instead of scrolling. When you invest in yourself, even when the world says, why bother? I know there will be days of doubt ahead, nights when you'll want to give up. But remember, you've already begun. And that's everything. So I'll leave you with a simple challenge, not philosophical, practical. Today, take a sheet of paper, write down who you want to become in 6 months, and take the first step and to start attracting that version of yourself now. Don't wait. Don't promise yourself on Monday, because reality is it's already here. It's already begun. And now that you have a plan, I'm with you and you're with yourself. And that is the strongest team you could ever imagine. See you in the next video. And remember, life doesn't shape you. You shape life. The only question is, what will you choose to create today?